Good morning and welcome to our May 2021 customer webinar. I'm Aaron Gillette, Marketing Director at TownNews. Today, Bridget Sibthorp-Moecker, Director of Audience, and Product Manager Allie Peters will share another round of expert tips and tricks to help you generate audience revenue. We'll talk about using our built-in promotional tools to reach potential subscribers with membership offers, best practices for structuring your emails to boost open rates and engagement, and much, much more. If you have a question, please feel free to enter it in the Q&A box and we will answer it either during the presentation or at the end. That's all I've got for right now. Take it away, Bridget and Allie.
Thank you so much, Aaron. We are really excited to be here to talk about reader revenue today. With me, I've got Allie Peters, Product Manager for TownNews. We are tag teaming email in addition to our other core products. So we're really excited to bring you some expert tips and tricks, best practices from all over, including Google News Initiative, LendFast, Facebook Accelerator, those sorts of things. Now, we're going to talk a lot about email because email is a very foundational element of growing engagement with users, of building that email journey. So we're going to talk a lot about newsletters. We're talking about growing leads, which is really important for subscription and reader revenue. Connecting with those users earlier in the funnel, engaging with registrations. That's really important to start to think about your light users. We're going to talk about growing ad revenue. Allie has some really exciting things to share with you on new ways to grow ad revenue in your newsletters, and then some future improvements coming along the way. So Allie, why don't you lead us off?
All right. Okay, we're going to walk through a few best practices for email newsletters, but before we get started, I would like you to think about your current email program and the strategy behind it. I want to challenge your companies to think about email newsletters as a main distribution channel for your content. Similar to newspaper deliveries, email newsletters are opted into and delivered to users on a regular basis. Those users have proven to be highly engaged, which result in above email average open rates, email ad impressions, and click-throughs to your websites. Unlike social media as a distribution point, you can control the content delivery, include internal promotions, and monetize easily, all without fighting an algorithm. Email is one of the top distribution channels for your content, and as the digital space becomes more prominent to readers, newsletters should be a main focus for your company moving forward. With that being said, email newsletters have been around long enough for us to know what's effective and what's not. So on screen, we have a few of the best practices I wanted to share with you guys today. The first is newsletter offerings. Be sure that your program has plenty of newsletter offerings for users to choose from. Must-have newsletters include things like daily headlines, weekly recaps, and breaking news. Good to have include top performing categories on your website, such as sports, obituaries, or entertainment newsletters. Also good to have are lasting popular topics in your community, such as regional attractions like Yellowstone National Park, maybe a COVID-19 newsletter, or a politics newsletter. The trick to the last few of those is making sure you have enough content for a consistent newsletter throughout a period of time. The next best practice is to place ads in your newsletters. I'll be talking about the revenue potential of this later as well. While the main purpose of newsletters is to drive traffic to your site, you get so much more bang for your buck if you optimize your email views with ads. Another best practice that we'll be discussing today is promotion. By putting effort into growing your email list, you'll see improvements in revenue, traffic, and membership. And last but not least, we have email structure as a best practice, and we have a whole slide on that if we can switch over here. All right, okay. Here you see 3 excellent TownNews client examples of what a reader experience should look like. The first thing you're going to notice is the newsletter branding at the top. All of these newsletters use their logo at the very top with brand colors to create a nice frame of reference for users. Remember, they're seeing this in their inbox and not on your website, so this is important. The next is a newsletter title. Putting a newsletter title on the email helps them know what the content is about. Is it breaking news? Is it a sports newsletter, etc.? This also provides the reader with a reference when they open the email about what they've opted into. In these examples, you'll also see ads. In my opinion, none of the ads here are too distracting, and they also provide a nice income for your company. In relation to the content, all of these newsletters have a big featured story graphic and stacked stories below. The stacking allows for easy scanning for the user to find the article they want to read. It also allows for more content within the newsletter. Something to note about those stacked stories, though, is the brevity of the content. Remember, the point of newsletters is to drive traffic to your website. So by giving a brief description, the hope is to intrigue the reader to click through to the content on the site. Overall, a good email structure and reader-friendly styling are simple ways to improve your user experience and achieve the goals of your newsletter program. If you are an email reach client and you're not sure how to style your newsletters, you can enter a ticket for guidance on how to achieve this. So hopefully this quick little overview has you thinking about your email program. And I'm going to turn it back over to Bridget to talk more about growing your email lists.
Thanks, Allie. So this whole webinar is supposed to be about reader revenue. Why are we talking about email newsletters? Well, it's very important to consider email newsletters as part of your overall reader revenue membership subscription strategy. The reason for that is when you build engagement with email newsletters, you are kind of starting them on a journey that's a little unique. You can build engagement with them in a way that's very special. And at the end of the day, these email newsletter subscribers are significantly more likely to become a paid subscriber. According to the Google NCI Playbook and the Boston Globe, 5 to 10 times more likely to become a paid subscriber. So it's really important to sort of grow your own leads with email newsletters. After all, capturing that email is, very, very important, not only for, subscription revenue, but for that traffic boost, as Allie mentioned. So we have a couple of ways to help you with that. You may be aware of these, but we wanted to go through them just to make sure you know what's out there. So one of them is a block called Utility Promo Designer. Now this is a really, really highly flexible block, has a lot of customizations available and really allows you to get creative. One of the things you can do with this block is to create an exit intent overlay, like a pop-up, that allows you to promote an email newsletter and invite people to sign up. So this can go on any page. You can control sort of the frequency of how often it shows up. And you could do a couple of email newsletters. I think one is probably best to get really focused to build, one particular list. We have some great examples here of, but many, many partners use this block. Another one is the email sign-up block. Now this is a little different because instead of it being sort of a pop-up experience, it is really meant to be embedded in your stories or your right rail. This is a really big G&I best practice and suggested all over, all over anybody that wants to see email newsletters, not just, the broadcast or newspaper industry. But it's really important to make sure that they can find these opt-in points. So one of the best ways is to put an email opt-in right in the content of the story or at the bottom of the story. And so this block is flexible enough to do that. And a really great tip is to actually add it within the content using a utility region. So there's a couple of examples here on where you could put that. I particularly like the in-story middle option because they've read at least a few paragraphs and then they get to that opt-in point. So this is something that you could put a sports email newsletter in a sports section, for example. Or you could be, more broad with breaking news everywhere. So it's a really great option, and I highly recommend that you look into these blocks. So after the webinar, we'll provide some helpful links to these pages so you can get a little more information. But of course, reach out to us if you need help getting going. So one other thing I just want to mention is making sure email opt-in checkboxes are on your sign-up registration page. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So outside of email, it's really important to consider your overall funnel and engaging those light readers. So if you have a really great meter stop rate, let's say that you're a metered website or even a hard paywall, you stop between 5, 10%, or even more people, users with a hard paywall or registration wall. Let's say you do all of those things. It's still a relatively small number of users that are going to see your subscription offerings in your packages. If you have a paywall, a metered paywall that's very high, like let's say you have a meter of 10, it's probably 1%, maybe 2% of people that would ever see your packages. So one of the things that we suggest is promoting your offerings ahead of time to all users, even to users that appear for it to be the first time that they viewed. On average, less than 1% of users will ever get to your subscription page. So we really want to increase the awareness of your brand and your packages by getting those offers out sooner. So on the far left here, essential, trusted, local news. This is a really great usage of that same block we were talking about, the promo designer, from our friends at the Finger Lakes Times. Really great usage, and this comes up on their homepage. And they can click out of it, or you can click subscribe now to go to their their subscriber landing page. There's a couple of other blocks here. We have the utility promo button is a way to put in a small, non-intrusive button into your content, similar to what we talked about with the email newsletters. I like this because it's not intrusive and it's really going to stand out on a mobile device. So that's another thing you can do. And of course, we have HTML blocks. So if you'd like to design something a little bit different on your own, you can certainly do that. I do want to make one more note here. When we're talking about connecting earlier in the funnel, if you're not aware of our newer smart meter product, Audience Plus, it is a new smarter meter that gets a lot more segmented and targeted with the users that engage with your site. One of the hallmarks of that program is identifying your brand lovers who view your site a lot. Maybe they've even registered, but they haven't made that leap to subscription yet. So we actually put those offers out in front of them sooner. We show them the paywall sooner to bring awareness and to close the deal. So if you haven't heard about Audience Plus or our new smart paywall program, let us know, get in touch with your sales rep or put in a support ticket. We'd love to just give you some information on that. And then more about light readers. So we're always so focused on those heavy readers, and I think that's really important to increase your conversion rate. But we can't forget about the light readers who we have a real opportunity to build engagement with. Email is one way. Another way is getting them to sign up for an account. Now, you've probably heard a lot more papers or other organizations are using registration walls. So maybe they put up a wall that allows you to sign up for an account to get a lot more free views. That's another thing that you can do with the new Smart Paywall Audience Plus program. The important thing about this, though, is that we've got to reduce the friction on that page in order to get people to follow through, right? So one of the things that you really want to make sure you do is turn off email confirmation. Now, I know that may be counterintuitive to what you've heard before. It is there is a school of thought that you want to ask people to confirm their email address to make sure they get it right. However, when you place that friction in between somebody setting up an account and getting in, it really messes up the flow, and it results in much fewer people actually confirming that email and eventually becoming a confirmed user. This is especially crucial in the purchase flow. So if you have on email confirmation, you get them to sign up for an account. They have to go to their email, open the email, click it, and it's just a couple of more clicks can be just enough hassle for somebody to leave the funnel entirely. So I really recommend, unless you're a really huge site with thousands and thousands and thousands of users, maybe millions, I really recommend you turn off email confirmation. You can do that in blocks in the users panel. Another one thing you want to make sure you do is really reduce the form fields on the registration page, on the sign up page. So by default, there are many extra fields, added to the page, or you may have added those yourself to get, full first name, last name, phone number, address, There's a lot of fields on there. And if you look at, e-commerce sites or the rest of the web, how it operates, it's really very few fields to create an account. So we recommend that you really strip down as much as possible in order to get more people to fill out the registration page. Now, there's a new item you may not have known about within the last year where the username field is no longer required. There's a setting on the panel of that URL that you can make username required, not required, or hidden entirely. So that's another important part, I think, of giving you the option to decide if you want to require that or not, or make it optional. And then the final piece here is, the email sign-up lists that I mentioned on the last part. This is a really good source of new email newsletter signups by adding those to that registration page, especially if you've really filtered down the number of fields and you have just your most important newsletters on here. That's a really great way to get signups. You can do that with an email reach. And again, if you need help on any of these things, please reach out to us. The last thing I'll mention on this slide is that Audience Plus program I was talking about. One of the things built in is the ability to do a registration wall to get those signups and offer more free views. All right, so I'm going to pass it back to Allie to talk about ad revenue in email newsletters.
All right. If you guys recall earlier, I promised I would come back to this subject. I wanted to give you some context of the monetization power of email newsletters and the immediate monetization you can have by growing your email lists. This slide features the TownNews Email Reach ad program, where we help place and fill ads on your newsletters. I've estimated out the potential revenue at different contact tiers for the daily headlines newsletter. The numbers here are an estimated annual revenue from just that one newsletter. You can see on here, as your contacts grow, your potential revenue grows substantially. So back again to that best practice, if you don't have ads in your newsletters, it's something you should definitely look into. If you are an email reach client with TownNews and you're interested in monetizing your emails, please reach out to your sales rep or enter a ticket to learn more. Also, if you're not a client, but you want to estimate your potential revenue, you can click the link on this slide when you get a copy of the deck and use the calculator I built for you guys. Let's hop to the next one. Okay, so Bridget and I have taken on the email reach offering at TownNews because we believe in the results it can provide for our partners. So far, everything we've talked about are things that you can implement immediately. But I wanted to mention some of the future improvements that we're putting together. In general, we have 4 areas we're looking to make improvements in for TownNews clients. And the basic building block of that program are the newsletters. We're looking into offering additional standard newsletter types, such as promotional emails and advertiser emails, to help grow your contact lists and take advantage of the email solution. We also have a focus on helping you monetize those newsletters the best we can. The next area of improvement would be promotion. We want to help you better promote your newsletters to readers. Some things that we're looking into are an email sign-up page, more simple, easier to set up, additional promotional blocks, and possible welcome drip campaigns. The next area of improvement would be design. We are looking into updating our existing email templates for newsletters and also system emails to make them more user-friendly and provide layout options to you as users. Lastly, we have admin improvements. This item is based around providing greater visibility of performance in the admin so you can analyze, create campaigns, and make changes as needed. These are kind of the areas that we're focused on to help make improvements to the email reach solution at TownNews and help you grow your newsletter potential. And that's it. I'll toss it back to Aaron for now.
Well, thank you. Thank you for this great presentation, Allie and Bridget. We have had a few questions come in, and I think one of them probably touches on something you were just talking about, Allie, the design changes to email newsletters. The question came in about Gmail only allowing 102 kilobytes of info for any given email, and they've had to strip down the amount of information that's in their email newsletters because Gmail is cutting it off. Can you address that at all?
Yeah, I'll take it, Bridget, and then you can follow up. So yes, Gmail cuts off a certain amount of, after you get to 102 kilobytes of information, it kind of cuts off and says, read more of this message. How you can get around that now is kind of counterintuitive to what we were saying. You know, if you have a weather block or some unnecessary content in your email, I'd recommend taking that out and just filling your stories that you would like users to click through. But in the future, when I mention design, this is something that we'll need to design for. There is a much better way to design an email newsletter to have the stories in the email templates. And that's something that we're aware of and we'll be looking to accommodate moving forward with the design.
And just to add to that, I mean, exactly what Allie's saying, looking at, a newer, fresher, updated design, if you look at, the other examples out there, let's say Washington Post, New York Times, many other news-related organizations, the header of their emails is very, very stripped down. It's very, very simple, and that, along with the colors as well, and that allows the content to really sing. So that's one of the things that we're really looking at, and we'll make sure to, include when we build the new templates.
A suggestion came in as well about when you talk about confirming an email registration, would it be possible, is it possible to confirm a registration by sending an email to the registered email address and seeing if it bounces?
That's essentially what the email confirmation does. It sends an email, requires the user to click through. I think there's some additional things we can look at there, and I'm always open to suggestions. I think the real issue, though, is a pretty significant amount of people don't follow through, and it's a real hindrance, if you're within the purchase path to have to stop, click through that email, and then go back to the web and continue. So, definitely interested in talking about that, but I think the potential for growing registrations and signups is much better if you don't have that on.
Okay. It looks like that is it for the questions at this time. If you want to advance to the next slide, Bridget. There are a lot of ways to stay connected with us. Documentation for everything we've discussed here is available at help.townnews.com. Of course, our support staff is standing by to help out if you have any questions, and you can reach them at 800-293-9576 or put in a ticket at support.townnews.com. The customer community is a great place to swap ideas with other Town News customers, and that's available at community.townnews.com. And you can monitor the status of all of our systems by signing up at townnews.status.io. Of course, you can follow us on social media on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you very much, Bridget and Allie, for this great presentation. Lots of great information in there. If anyone has any questions at all, please feel free to contact support, or I'm sure Bridget and Allie would be happy to answer any questions for you as well. Thank you very much, and we will see you again at the next customer webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.